It's all about truth. All of it. Every single thing. All boils down to the truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free. All right, guys, welcome to the broadcast. We are live. This is Press for Truth Live. I am your host, Dan Dix. Going to be with you here for the next hour or so, taking your questions. We're going to be taking a look at some of the things that are in the news today in regards to COVID-19, the coronavirus, and specifically the current crackdown by law enforcement on those who are abusing or going against, I should say, going against the lockdown orders. Let me make sure we are indeed live and we got some people tuning in. Well, that doesn't make sense. I've got tons of comments and it says only one person is watching. Okay, just went from 1 to 85. Perfect. Who do we have here? Tommy, Jose, Robert, Bearded Heretic, Foreigner, Rodney, John, Mike. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please share this link. Let everybody know we're currently broadcasting live. Going to be here for the next hour or so, taking your questions, looking at some things that are going on right now. What's up, PFT? Love your work. You do a good job exposing them. Thank you so much. Ledette says the virus is the fear. Absolutely correct there. So I just want to show you guys some of the things we're going to be covering today. Bear with me one sec as I just get this up here on the screen for you. So here's some of the things I've been looking at. We have, this is just out, shout out to my friend Junior from Toronto who brought this to my attention. Coronavirus, Toronto Mayor has just signed a new bylaw to enforce physical distancing at city parks and squares. We see here this new rule prohibits walking within 2 meters of another person in Toronto parks, and it can actually amount to, as we see here, anyone caught walking within 2 meters of another person in a Toronto park or a public square may be subject to a fine of up to $5,000 for coming within 2 meters of another human being in a Toronto park or square. We're also going to look at this. Complaints are pouring into the COVID-19 tip line. This is where people are snitching out their neighbors and people who they see, and they're getting inundated with calls. We see here in Quebec, the police are cracking down on violations of public orders. They're fed up with scenes of citizens flouting the rules of social distancing and businesses operating illegally despite the growing number of COVID-19 cases. We're going to look at this. This is in Louisville. They're forcing unwilling coronavirus patients to self-isolate. Is that right? 2 Louisville coronavirus patients and a family member have been ordered by circuit judges to isolate and wear tracking devices now, after the health officials learned that they'd been in public against medical advice. Hong Kong, police are using coronavirus restrictions to clamp down on protests. We knew that was coming. Hong Kong had massive protests in the last year, a few months before leading up to this, and all of that is all but being pretty much squashed. No thanks to COVID-19. So we're going to get into all of these things and more. So get your questions into the comments section. I'll be sure to keep keep an eye on that. But let's take a look at this one here. Because this is the latest coming out of Toronto. The mayor has just signed a new bylaw to enforce physical distancing at city parks. Toronto Mayor John Tory has signed a bylaw that will allow enforcement of officers to issue tickets to those who are violating orders related to physical distancing due to coronavirus. We must do everything we can to stop the spread of COVID-19 now to save lives in the weeks and months ahead, Tory told reporters on Thursday afternoon. There have been plenty of warnings issued. Now it is into the realm of enforcement. As of Thursday and for 30 days, Tory said 2 or more residents who don't live in the same household and are within 2 meters of each other can be ticketed now. The Ontario government has banned gatherings of more than 5 people. He said the city of Toronto is awaiting for permission to impose a set fine of $750. However, if ticketed and subsequently convicted, residents can face fines of upwards of $5,000. That's no chump change, guys. The time for puzzlement at this misbehavior is over. Lives are potentially at stake, and we will turn up the heat in hopes that the few who don't get it or pretend not to get it will get with the program, Tory said. So it's all about whipping people into shape, getting them prepared to have to be forced on lockdown. And this begs a serious question about civil liberties moving forward when it comes to the government not giving you the ability to move. I mean, and a lot of it really kind of doesn't make sense, because if they're enforcing this with fines at parks and places like that, but yet you can go to the grocery store and stand within a few feet of the cashier, it's kind of nonsensical, really. But if this is what they say it is, then all this makes sense. But a lot of these numbers are just simply not adding up right now. So I want to go to the chat and see what some of you guys have to say about that. Wow, we got a lot of comments. Let me scroll back here. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to try to scroll through and look for questions and some comments too. William says, how can we trust those who are paid to project a character? I don't know. You probably shouldn't trust many who are paid to project a character, because they're essentially acting, I suppose, if you're portraying a character. What do you think of Doug Ford, says Lena? Well, I believe he's just kind of doing what he's told at this stage in the game, not really having much of a say in this thing. I think all of these mayors and all of these cities and all these places all over the world are kind of, well, obviously puppets. It's this control system is set up like a pyramid of compartmentalization, where people understand less and less and less how they're connected to the whole thing, and have less and less information and knowledge about how it all actually operates up at the top. And Ford plays right into kind of that position, where he's now following orders, thinking he's doing what's right for the people, probably thinking this is what's best for his city. Meanwhile, I think the overreaction to this right now is far overblown. We know that the cure to this is already looking worse than the disease itself. Now, I know a lot of people out there are going to be mad at me for saying that. They're going to say, Dan, this is crazy. It's like a hockey stick line. It's exponentially growing. Well, where are you getting those numbers from? A lot of the official sources are already backtracking on their numbers. Like, for example, they've admitted in Italy that a lot of the deaths that were counted as coronavirus deaths were in fact people who died with the coronavirus, but not from the coronavirus. There's a lot of people in their 80s, 70s, 90s who had cancer and all sorts of other ailments along with coronavirus, and they were marked off as having died of the coronavirus, and those numbers went out into the minds of the masses. They believed that this was the case. They got very afraid about it. And then they retracted on that and said, oh, actually, those ones shouldn't have been counted. So all these numbers are being fudged all over the place. So got to take that into effect as well. So let me get back to some of these questions and comments. Rika, the hopeful voluntarius, great to see you again. Let's see. 5G will bring us free services, says W. I don't know about that. And besides, why would you want everything for free? That's not necessarily a good thing. It's really not going to incentivize you to do anything, to be productive, to be an entrepreneur, to be a contributing member of society. That's a lot of the things that I really dislike about what's going on with the economy, and how they're trying to basically loan their way into buying up all the real collateral. And eventually, when these rates go up again, people are going to lose their real collateral, their homes and their businesses and things like that. It's such a fishing lure out. Get the bait out there, have them take it, and then later just reel them back in. I think that's what we're dealing with there. Okay, let me go back to the chat. Oops. Let's see. Oh yeah, I had this I wanted to show you guys as well. Just popped up there. Bilderberg has canceled. I'm not sure if you can see that. Well, it's right under where my camera is over here. But it's down here. The meeting for 2020 is currently postponed. So that's pretty interesting. Now, a friend of mine, Josh Friedman, had reached out to the Bilderberg Club, the media relations people, and they did say that it is because of COVID-19, because of the travel restrictions, essentially. But we all know that they have the ability to meet virtually anyways in the digital realm. So it's likely they will still be doing that. The meeting hasn't been canceled, it's just been postponed. And someone on Facebook recently asked me, do you think Bilderberg is involved with all this stuff? My response was, they can't not be. I mean, the club is comprised of military men, media moguls, presidents and prime ministers, heads of finance, business leaders. These are all the people who are currently telling everyone around the world that you better lock down or else. So it's very quite possible that this is stemming from an organization like Bilderberg who are pulling the strings, because we know they have an agenda to formulate a one world government, a one world cash system, and in order to achieve these things, they operate out of order, out of chaos. They have to generate enough chaos and just get everybody to lose their mind so that they beg for any kind of solution to just save us from this calamity and all the death and destruction and please anything. And that's when they can step in and say, guess what? We got the perfect solution for you. We're going to all band together under one big happy family umbrella called the New World Order. We're going to have one world government. Don't worry about that that dirty cash anymore. You're not going to get sick from it because we have a one world digital currency already developed and ready to go. And people will not only just fall right in line, but they're going to be begging for this, and they're going to be saying, oh, thank you for having a solution like this. It's solid to bring us all together. I hope you guys see what I'm seeing, that there's a real takeover here. There's an agenda from the global elite, the powers that ought not to be, as I often call them, who are really pulling the strings in these 90 different countries that are currently involved in this. How else is that possible? That half the world right now, we're talking billions of people, over 50% of the globe is currently under some sort of form of quarantine or lockdown right now. These orders are coming down on high. This isn't a nation state problem. This isn't like a false flag of one country against another. No. This is much bigger than that. This is the global powers that ought not to be, who have been pulling the strings for many years now, are jumping on this. They're using this opportunity to full on go for it. Just look at Vancouver right now, boarding up all their windows. A lot of towns all over the place in the United States are doing this as well, and other countries are doing this as well, because everybody's preparing for what they know is coming. Massive civil unrest. I mean, people are going to start rioting in the streets and smashing windows to go get food because their kids are starving. I mean, I don't want to play up any kind of a fear state, but I hope people understand that this is going to be getting a lot worse before it gets a lot better. And we need to be prepared for that. And the best way to do that is to stick close to your local communities. Like I said in my video yesterday, make friends with some good people in your community, people who know how to grow their own food if you don't, and certainly learn how to grow your own food. Now's a good time to do that. As my friend Curtis Stone the other day said, what's the worst that can happen? If all this passes, then great. You've learned some gardening skills and you've got some produce in the backyard, and awesome. If this does continue to escalate the way a lot of people think it will, well, you may be very, very reliant on that produce you're growing in your backyard. So really important things to pay attention to today. Let's get back to the chat real quick. And guys, I want to remind you, this channel's been completely 100% demonetized. As you notice, you can't send me super chats anymore. But if you would like to contribute, there is ways that you can donate in the links in the description below. So anything is greatly appreciated today. Donations lately are dropping off. Monthly subscribers are starting to unsubscribe because it's tough times. We're living in financially tough times, and I understand that. But if you are able to contribute, I'd ask that you do check the links in the description below. It would help me out greatly. All right, let me scroll through, see if we got any more questions. Civil unrest is coming, says Alpha Dog. Yes, I think that is the case as well. Let's see. What up, brother, from Toe Dropping Media. There's a plug for you. Big fans of Press for Truth. Thanks, guys. Please inform your audience about Santa Surfing Beach. Not sure what you're referring to there. Let's see. And please, guys, click the thumbs up button on this video. We know that these streams are heavily shadow banned, and it really does help with the algorithms if you click the thumbs up button. I know there's 462 people watching right now, so let's get that number up to at least 462, guys. Hit that thumbs up button right now. Share the link as well, and check the links in the description to find out how you can contribute to my efforts here. Masks. People are wondering about masks. They say people are being told to wear them in LA. I have heard of mandatory masks going around as well, actually. Isn't it funny how in Montreal they were, had bills to ban masks in protests and social gatherings now, and now they're enforcing it that you have to wear a mask now. Foreigner says, so more police in parks? Yeah, that probably is going to end up being the case as they go out and start to enforce these things. Let's quickly take a look at what this other article had to say about it. New rule prohibits walking within 2 meters of another person in Toronto parks. Anyone caught walking within 2 meters of another person in Toronto park will be subject to a fine of upwards of $5,000. Toronto Mayor John Tory announced the new physical distancing bylaw on Thursday afternoon, saying that he regrets the fact that he needed to take such legal action. The rule, Tory said, does not apply to anybody living within the same household. Any two people who don't live together who fail to keep 2 meters of distance between them in a park or a public square will be subject to a persecution and will, upon conviction, be liable of a fine of upwards of $5,000. So yeah, how are they going to enforce this? Yeah, certainly police are going to be literally paying attention to parks and squares now in Toronto to see if they can spot more than 5 people congregating, or even just a few people standing within a few feet of each other, 6 feet. And if you're not living within the same house, boom, you can get a ticket for that now. So unprecedented times that we're living in. As I said in previous videos, just a few months ago, 4 months ago, these things, you wouldn't have even been able to fathom it. Like telling people that this is what the government's going to be able to do very, very soon, it would be laughed off, really. And a lot of people have laughed this off, but this is indeed getting very real and very serious. I hope people are starting to realize that. And again, I think the reaction to the virus is far worse than the virus itself. I put out a video the other day mentioning the pandemic, that this is a choreographed plan that's being carried out right now, and the real virus is actually the government itself, because those are the ones, these are the people who are currently crashing the global economy in order to wipe out the middle class, in order to bring about civil unrest, in order to pose as the saviors to the very problem they created. It's the classic Hegelian dialectic, the thesis, antithesis, synthesis, thesis, hypothesis, synthesis, or easier to understand is problem, reaction, solution, that David Icke coined. And as he now points out, it's evolved to the point of not even needing the problem. So you could just have reaction solution, no problem, reaction solution. As long as you get people afraid enough, then you can strip away their abilities to move freely and have basic fundamental human rights. So that's how that goes. All right, let me get back to some questions here and comments. Rody Ryan says, when's the army rolling in for food rations? Yeah, I mean, we're not that far away from that. In fact, they just announced that there's 24,000 troops being deployed in Canada. They're kind of spreading out right now to prepare for how they're going to deal with this. Somebody else sent me, speaking of food shortages in the military, somebody else sent me a tip that, where was it? I think it was in Ontario. Don't quote me on that, but they went to go try to buy a deep freeze from like a big place, a freezer, and the employees there said that the Canadian government has bought them all. They were like, we're sorry, we're out. The government literally just came in and cleaned us out and bought all of our deep freezers and freezers and fridges and stuff. So I'm not sure what's up with that, but could very well have something to do with what you're talking about, Roddy Ryan. Army rolling in for food rations. I mean, look. When people lose everything, they lose it. And we're only potentially a couple of weeks away, maybe a month. They keep moving the goalpost, by the way. You know, they keep saying this is going to be pushed down further and further. Now in Trudeau's talking about, you know, these things not letting up until July. We're talking months going on here. So if you think the ramifications of what we're seeing today are bad, just wait, guys. We're just at the beginning of this thing. You know, the thin side of the wedge. We're just starting to see what's going to really take place, and I think it's going to be shocking. It's crazy time we're living in, guys. Let's see if we've got some more questions in here. Once again, guys, click that thumbs up button. 503 people watching. I hope we got at least 503 thumbs up right now. You know that they're heavily shadow banning this channel, and that's another reason why I think you guys should subscribe to me on these other platforms. Links are in the description below. Float, flote.app, /press for truth. Be sure to go there, as well as many others. Minds, BitChute, Steemit, things like that. They're all located in the description below. Really important, guys, moving forward. Another part of this agenda with the coronavirus is not just for the authoritarian clampdown on everyone violating the orders, but it's also going to be an authoritarian clampdown on guys like me, on the alternative press online. We know that over the last few years they've been kind of trying to achieve that with different acts, different bills and pieces of legislation that they've tried to pass over and over, whether it be CISPA or PIPA or SOPA or ACTA. And, you know, Congress and Senate and parliaments keep rejecting these things, and then they just call it something else and try to reintroduce it. And, you know, as James Corbett said in my interview with him last week, he said, you know, we may defeat it the first time and the second time, but the 37th time, we may not. They may slip it through. And I think we're getting to that point now where they're just going to all out go for the clampdown on YouTubers who they claim are spreading misinformation, but really they just want to control the narrative. You know, this stems into what I talked about in my latest video, where I read from the book Propaganda, where Edward Bernays outlined how this can be achieved, step-by-step ways that you can achieve controlling the opinions and the ideas of the masses. It's really remarkable what we're seeing today. I hope you check that video out. Just put it out yesterday. Really important in order to understand how compartmentalization works and how this fear can spread so quickly across the internet to the point where we're all policing each other now. I mean, we saw that that hotline. Where was that? Check this out. Complaints pour into COVID-19 tip line. City Hall responds by phone. By the way, look at this, guys. Breaking! Up to 15,000 could die from COVID in Ontario. Really? That's breaking for you? This X number could maybe die. Breaking news. Again, the fear state coming from the MSM is completely overblown and contributing to this, you know, panic buying and a run on toilet paper and all this nonsense. And here we have people policing their neighbors and ratting out their their neighbors for violating the orders. London, Ontario, in just 5 days, Londoners have lodged 1,250 complaints about people and businesses not following provincial COVID-19 orders. About 70% of complaints filed with London City Hall's dedicated COVID concern tip line have been through email, the remainder by phone. Chief Municipal Law Enforcement Officer, don't know how to say that, explains that his staff are triaging the complaints and addressing them by phone. They've responded to close to 400 or 500 complaints, and we're doing that over the phone so that we have redeployed staff to do that. Rather than issue fines, those phone calls have focused on educating those who may not be following provincial rules. Educating, well, at first. Then it's going to be sending the police to, kick down your door and enforce it. I don't know if you've seen some of the stuff coming out of places like India. I don't have any of those clips lined up right now, but I mean, they're really violently cracking down on people who violate the quarantine orders right now. And we're talking people who aren't even sick, who are just getting out and walking around. They're literally bashing them with sticks in the streets. And I've seen other places where around the world where police are roaming around snatching up people who are violating the orders. They're going to have similar things in Quebec very soon. I think they've already had talk of that. And then now we see things like this. We got in Louisville, they're putting tracking devices on people. 2 Louisville coronavirus patients and a family member have been ordered by circuit judges to isolate and wear tracking devices after health officials learned that they'd been in the public against medical advice. Issuing health-related civil orders is new territory for the courts, according to Judge Charles Cunningham, who issued 2 on Friday. The third was issued earlier this month when a South End resident who tested positive for coronavirus refused to self-isolate. But the orders are essential for keeping the community safe when infected patients refuse to self-quarantine, officials said during Mayor Greg Fisher's Facebook Live briefing on Tuesday. So they've already got what they say 3 different times they've placed tracking devices on people. What was this one? Oh yeah, here's where they're cracking down in Quebec on violations of the public health orders. Fed up with the scenes of citizens flouting the rules of social distancing and businesses operating illegally despite the growing number of COVID-19 cases, Premier Francois Legault has ordered police to step up their enforcement of public health orders across the province. Legault also added that Quebec is now using the same hardball tactics as other international players in what has become a war to replenish critical medical supplies. That includes paying cash and adding sûreté de Quebec police officers to international shopping expeditions to make sure orders are not hijacked by other countries. I mean, things are getting pretty wild, and over in Montreal, a lot of those guys are pretty hardcore protesters. A lot of them are really not going to put up with this. But honestly, guys, one of the points I wanted to make with today's video, and the reason why I titled it the way I did, is because a lot of this is happening because of people ratting out their neighbors or pointing the finger at one another and saying, hey, why aren't you following the rules when I have to be sitting here in my house? And you know what, guys? Mind your own damn business. Leave people the heck alone. Stop pointing the finger at everyone else, based on these faulty numbers and this common cold here that's going around, that you are freaking out because you've been drinking the Kool-Aid of the mainstream media. Just stop with the fear state. Stop pointing the finger at each other and start pointing the finger at the real enemy, the real culprit here. We're talking about the government. We're talking about the ones who are crashing your businesses, who are taking away your ability to make money, who are taking away your rights, your freedom of movement, your freedom of assembly, your freedom of speech. All these things are being violated by the government. That's the problem, not your neighbors, guys. So I really hope people will understand that moving forward. It's just they're so scared right now of due to the MSM conditioning, essentially. Which is why I try to bring this alternative information to the table, guys. I hope you will watch my coverage over the past month or so, or a couple of weeks for sure, of the COVID-19 pandemic. Because you're certainly not getting this information from the mainstream media. It's a completely different narrative that's coming from them, and it's important that you understand all sides of this thing. So please subscribe to this channel if you haven't. And once again, if you appreciate the efforts, check the links in the description to find out how you can donate. I've been completely demonetized because they don't like this kind of stuff going out there. They don't want me to be able to generate any kind of revenue anymore off this platform, and they're going to flip the switch on me altogether soon, I'm sure, and just delete the channel altogether. But with your financial support and with you joining me on these other platforms, it's not going to matter. We'll be just fine, and we'll carry on. I'll continue making daily videos. You'll continue tuning in just on another platform. But it's going to be a rocky transition, so any help is greatly appreciated. Links are in the description below. All right, let me fly through here. There's probably a lot to catch up on. Jeremy Mount says you can get ticketed for standing next to someone. Yep, that's the point we're at. We're talking about downtown Toronto. Unreal. Yeah, look at this. Stan Alch. So, if the cop who tickets you gives you the virus, can you sue? I mean, that's a good point too. I mean, these police officers are having to get within, the not allowed distance of people in order to issue them these tickets. Why aren't they being held accountable? None of this makes any sense, guys. And the fact that they're enforcing this in parks and squares, but you can do as you please in the grocery store or 2 feet in front of the cashier, it really doesn't make a lot of sense. And when you know that they're letting people out of prison right now, and a lot of people have been saying in certain towns, homeless people are not exactly congregating where they used to. I know in Vancouver, in the Lower East Side, if you know anything about Vancouver, there's something called East Hastings Street, which is where all the homeless people and the crackheads and the meth heads congregate, because that's where all the soup kitchens are and the safe injection sites. And the city purposefully designed it that way to try to keep it all pushed off to the side, right? So people wouldn't recognize this huge drug problem and homelessness problem. Well, something we're starting to notice right now is they're not really there anymore. They're all kind of spreading out throughout the city. And I think we're going to start to see a lot more crime increase. This is why we're seeing businesses boarding up their windows. I just had my car window smashed out the other day while I was shooting a video about the coming civil unrest due to economic turmoil. So it's already starting to happen. I mean, that could have been regular looters who just go around to parking garages and smash up cars all the time. But it also could be a sign of things to come in the very, very near future, because it's getting that crazy. Greetings from Iceland. Hi, Icelandic Arco team. See if we got any more questions in here. Again, guys, click that thumbs up button. Over 500 people watching. I hope we at least have over 500 thumbs up right now. We know the algorithms are designed to stop this type of information from spreading. They don't want it to go viral. That's why I'm kind of capped at certain numbers. Mary Kingsley says 523 watching and not enough likes. I haven't seen how many likes there are right now, but come on, guys, click that button, click the thumbs up button, get those likes up. Again, it really does help. New World Solutions. There's going to be a restructuring of the world economy after all this is said and done. Yeah, big time. There's going to be. In fact, they've already have the system in place. They're already ready to go with the global cashless society digital currency solution. You know, blockchain tech is kind of what do they say, a double-edged sword. You know, obviously the decentralized nature of blockchain tech is great, like with Bitcoin, but a centralized blockchain tech of a similar coin, not Bitcoin, but another one is terrifying. I mean, obviously it's open ledger. Anybody can see everything. It's all tracked, traced, databased, and when it's a centralized system like that, man, oh man, is that ever total control. When they convince everyone in the world that cash is dirty because of viruses and, you know, We have to get onto this digital cash system. They're sadly going to go for it. This is something I've been warning about for actually decades now. I've been talking about the coming cashless society for over 20 years, and it's weird to actually be in it. Like I wasn't so sure it was going to happen in my lifetime. You know, I knew it was going to take a long time for these things to happen, but man, oh man, are they escalating at an extremely exponential rate these days. And as we've seen with COVID-19 and the global reaction to it, and in the age of the internet, these things can spread overnight. We could see a new world order, one world government, global cash system in like 48 hours from now. It's possible at this stage in the game that they can just all out go for it at this point. Bourbon and Bullets says cashless society is going to be fast tracked because of the virus that may not be named. You know, it is possible that there's going to be other phases to this virus as well, that if this is indeed a bioweapon, which has to be looked at, it's undetermined at this point whether or not if it is, but I'm beginning to lean in that direction. The more you look at it, it's starting to look as if that is the case, and if that is the case, there could be a second wave that is designed to actually wipe out hundreds of millions of people, and in that case, they would get the lockdown, and of course, they would have the vaccine ready for themselves before releasing such a bioweapon. This is all pure, I'm just speculating. Admittedly, I'm pure speculation at this stage in the game, but I mean, this is my educated guess. I guess you could say that it's quite possible that things are certainly leading in this direction. Is China the blueprint for how they want all other states to follow? Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. It is the blueprint. That's a good place to look for where you want to see how our rights are going to be going soon here in the very near future. I mean, just look at their Sesame Credit social scoring system. I made videos about that years ago and warned that it was a blueprint to come to the West. And now we're actually starting to see this come to the West. And not just that, though, a violation on civil liberties and your basic right as a human being is also being tested out in China and will soon, be happening globally as well. See if we got any more questions. And I'm also going to make sure I didn't skip over any of these articles that I wanted to cover. Again, guys, if you're just tuning in, we were talking about today how this new bylaw has been signed to enforce physical distancing at cities and parks and squares, and Torontonians can now be faced with a fine of upwards of $5,000 if they're convicted of being found to have violated the rules, meaning if they're found standing within 2 meters of somebody else in a park who doesn't live with them, then they can be facing potentially huge fines. And again, this raises the very, very serious questions about fundamental civil liberties, the ability to assemble, the ability to move freely without having to show your papers. All these things are coming into question now. This is why I paralleled that with what happened in Toronto 10 years ago with the G20 summit, because that was another example of a massive violation of civil liberties where Canadians' rights were completely stripped of them because of the crisis. We have to deal with these crazy rioters, right? So we're going to take away all your rights for it. People need to remember that happened because I see very similar parallels to then to what's happening now. So I hope people can see it too. David from Denmark, hello, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Let's scroll back a little bit, see if we got any other questions. Why aren't we up and doing something about it? Says Ron. I'm trying to do my best to counter the propaganda and the fear state that's currently going on the MSM. The best we can do is just lead by example and, not succumb to the fear state as others are right now. And, trust your heart on this one. Let's see if we got any more. Check out police violence in Spain, says Francisco. I I would not be surprised at all if they're cracking down hard there. As I said, in India, it's getting crazy. I had some videos I didn't even want to show because it's grown men like squealing and crying because they're whacking them in the shins with sticks, 6 meter long sticks. These cops are not getting within a few 6 feet of these guys as they're whacking them to get back with batons, basically 6 foot long batons. It's just crazy. But yeah, I mean, we're already starting to see the civil unrest unfold in other countries, but that's because they've been under this for longer than we have. I mean, in Vancouver, it's not even a strict order yet, like it is in Toronto, but it is coming. I think it's coming for everyone. They're not looking to slow down on this anytime soon. They're looking to push this into the next few months. Maybe even try to delay the election in the United States, and maybe even try to suggest that we're going to vote from home with the new technology, with this great app. And, I don't even want to think what's going to be happening come election time in the US if this is still going on, which I do think that is a part of the agenda here, is to not just let this fade away and then die out and then wait a year or two until they initiate the second phase. No, I think this might be, they're going for it. It might just be a progressive one after the other, like a woman's birth pangs. When a woman's giving birth, the contractions get closer and closer and closer together. Well, the problems that are going to be happening in the world are going to start to happen more rapidly and more closer and closer towards the moment of climax, the moment of birth. The moment that they announced the New World Order, the One World Government, the Cashless Society as a solution to all of the problems that everyone is having in the world that were created by them. Again, this is why we must not continue to police one another and point the finger at your neighbor and, be like, hey, you're not following orders, you're not following orders. What are you, the quarantine police? I mean, this is getting absolutely ridiculous. Just mind your own business. If you want to stay at home, you go ahead and stay at home. But don't start snitching out on others and enforcing others to do it and calling the cops on your friends and neighbors. It's just sad and pathetic, really. Worry about yourself. And really, as I said, start pointing the finger at the real culprit here. Your neighbor didn't crash the economy. Your neighbor who decided he wanted to go for a walk and step within a few feet of you, he's not the one robbing you of your future because your small or medium-sized business is being destroyed. No, it's the puppet string pullers, the global powers that ought not to be, who are pulling the strings here. And if you think this is all conspiratorial talk, well, I explained how these things are possible in my latest video, where I explained how Edward Bernays' book, Propaganda, written in 1928, outlines certain tactics, certain things you can do in order to achieve what we're seeing today. So you need to be educated about the past in order to understand the present and most certainly the future. So I've been looking into this stuff for a couple of decades. I launched Press for Truth in 2006, but I woke up, as it were, quite a while ago. It was in the late 90s. So I've been looking into this stuff for a very, very long time, guys. And my hunches are generally usually on. My educated guesses are generally usually on. So I don't generally like to speculate, but I mean, I see the writing on the wall. It's not like there's making predictions or a crystal ball or anything. I just see, I can see the progression of where this is going, and it's only going to get worse before it gets better. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just saying we really do need to be prepared for massive civil unrest. It is coming. Sad to say, but it is. See if we got any more questions. Who trusts Trump? Says Jen. Well, I certainly don't. I mean, I don't trust any puppet politician. At this stage in the game of the control grid, you do not just simply bypass the left-right, false left-right paradigm in the United States and defeat that system that they've had set up for decades and decades and decades now. Trump didn't just come along and figure out how to get past that, and now they're all going, oh man, we got to figure out how to take him out. No, if he's in there, he's in there because they want him in there, okay? And I'm not saying he's in on it or a part of anything. He may be an unwitting puppet and not aware of how he's being used. But at this stage in the game, you don't become president of the United States unless you have been allowed to do so by the secret cabal who I've been talking about for decades now. There is a hidden government already, and now they're just trying to bring it into full fruition, where it's putting pen to paper about the global government and the digital cashless society. Again, this is a decades old agenda, centuries old, maybe thousands of years old, to be quite honest. And yeah, we're in the time now where they're really cracking down on it. Noble Savage says, no super chat? No, I know. Unfortunately, YouTube has removed my ability to receive any kind of money off this platform right now. I've been 100% demonetized. So if you do want to send a super chat, so to speak, it'd be greatly appreciated, guys, if you check the link in the description right here to find out how you can contribute. You can donate one time with a GoFundMe campaign. There's PayPal on my pressfortruth.ca/donate. You can contribute cryptocurrencies. You can join as a patron, a Subscribe Star member. You can join as a member on Press for Truth. There's a lot of ways to contribute financially, but YouTube is no longer it. So yeah, if you do appreciate my efforts here and do want to contribute and can financially afford that today, it'd be greatly appreciated, because yeah, financially I am already being affected by COVID-19 because everyone's losing their jobs, so they're starting to, unsubscribe from their monthly contributions and things like that, and that's fine. I totally understand that 100%. If it's not within your means to contribute, certainly don't. Just watch the videos, click the thumbs up button, share it. That's a great way to show your support. But if you can financially support independent media who are going against the status quo and kind of breaking through all this propaganda, then please do so. And again, they've removed the ability for you to do that right here and now on YouTube, but you can do it by clicking the links in the description. Thank you so much to anybody who does. Okay, let me see. What else we got? Keep waiting for Trump to save you, says David. Yeah, I know. No, divide and conquer. Q is a psyop to get the right to give up all their freedom without a fight. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I don't like what I'm seeing going on within the Q community right now, who are kind of putting a lot of hope into the fact that somebody on the inside is taking care of all of this for us. Don't worry, trust the plan. It's all going to be okay. Yeah, I don't think that's the case at all. In fact, a lot of times when I question people who are falling for the psyop on this to present me with some factual evidence of how these Q drops are actually properly predicting things. Let me see the connection, the correlation there, and none of them can show me any real good smoking gun kind of proof that say, yeah, look at this, he said this then, and then this happened. Never have I seen anything yet. So yeah, I'm not buying it. I don't trust faceless movements. There very well may be something to it. There could be, this could be an inside deep state military operation. The question is it coming from a good place? Is it doing good things? And look at what it's doing. It's giving a false sense of hope to a lot of people who say, there's all these massive arrests happening behind the scenes, and don't worry, trust the plan. Well, it's making you just kind of be, lay back and say, oh, somebody else is doing it. No worry. I don't think it's the case, though. Let's see. Somebody says Georgia Guidestones. Yeah, remember that? When they said they want to reduce the global population to 500 million, I think it was. That means, what is it, 7 billion people have to die according to that plan. Let's see what else we got. Guys, get in some more questions if you want. We're going on just about an hour here, so I may call it soon. I'm going to get outside. I'm going to go for a bike ride with my wife and our dogs, and we're going to get some exercise. You know, a lot of people, you know, right now this is affecting people not only economically and things of that nature, but physically and spiritually as well. I mean, church is essentially shut down. A lot of people are being terrified from the news, so a lot of comfort eating is going on, guys. I think something people are not going to realize is an effect of this is we're going to see people getting fatter and a lot more unhealthy from staying at home and from being depressed and from kind of going for the pizza instead of the salad because, oh, the world's falling apart. This is certainly happening all over the place. I don't know if people have realized that yet, but there's so many things, ramifications that are going to come of this that are really starting to reveal themselves today in the next few weeks and months, that we're going to truly see the extent to this, and we're going to realize this is far worse than the Great Depression. This is far worse than any other kind of crisis the world has ever seen. This is completely uncharted, unprecedented, completely unbelievable territory that we're moving into here. Never before in the history of the world have we seen a move towards this type of clampdown, this type of control over every single person on the planet. It's unbelievable that we've come to this point here in 2020, but here we are, man. Crazy. All right. Let's see if we got any more stuff. 534 people watching. Guys, click that thumbs up button. Please share the video. Click the thumbs up. Naughty Tube says, all peeps in the stream, go hit that thumbs up for all his efforts. It's the least we can do. Exactly. Really appreciate that. It is the least you can do. And it's a great thing that you can do. Just sharing my videos and clicking the thumbs up button and commenting here and there really, really does help. Again, I want to reiterate that if you're not financially able to contribute, that's fine. I've always provided my work for free. I'm not, you know, requiring anybody pay anything. There's no paywall here. I've been doing this, you know, Press for Truth since 2006. All 5 of my documentary films are out there for free. They've all gone out for free. All these videos are out there for free. You're not paying for this right now, and I don't expect you to. People shouldn't have to pay for the news, like what the MSM wants you to do with paywalls. But at the same time, I got to be able to survive. I got to maintain my equipment. I got to have bandwidth. I got to eat. I got to have a roof over my head. I got to have all these things. So it is necessary for financial support to come in the form of donations and subscribers and people who purchase well, people don't really buy DVDs anymore, but I used to sell my films on DVDs. I'd sell t-shirts and merchandise, hats and stuff like that. Just trying to give the option for where people can contribute if they want to. But if you don't worry. It's totally fine. I'm not here to make money. I'm just here to spread this information. You know, if I can just stay afloat, barely kind of staying at the line, I'm happy. You know, I don't need a lot of things. I'm content with what I have currently. I just want to be able to maintain it. And if you guys can help me with that, it's greatly, greatly appreciated. Again, links are located in the description right here for how you can donate, one-time donation, or sign up as a monthly contributor. $5, $10 a month goes a long way. A lot of great PFT followers are doing that, and this is what's making me the ability to go live today and to continue to pump out videos daily as I have been. And I want to step that up too, guys, in a big way. You know, start putting out more content. Naughty Tube says, hope you got your car window fixed. I did. You know, that sucked. $250 bill out of the blue because some loser can't live life and has to steal from others because, he's a failure. He or she, whoever smashed my window. If you guys didn't see that, at the end of my video where I talk about the Vancouver businesses boarding up shops, at the very, very end of that video, if you watch it all the way to the end, I show you how when I got back to my car, the window was smashed out. Definitely sucked. Now Northwest rigging specialist feels like a Coke and a pizza. Sorry about that, but I think everybody's feeling the same these days. So beware of that, guys. Get your exercise. Don't forget, don't get cabin fever here. Like, don't go stir crazy, sitting in your house, getting all fat and sassy. Get out there, get some exercise, eat healthy, continue to grow food. Crime's going to go up 50%, says. I'm not sure what that said, just scrolled by, but here, let me go back. Notrabiz Stevens? Yeah, I mean, they've already admitted in Vancouver, B&Es have gone up from, what was it, an average of 1 a day to 4 a day or something like that. So that's much more than doubled. I mean, crime is quadrupling in Vancouver right now. And as I said, all the crackheads and the homeless and the meth heads are all kind of spread out throughout the city right now. On top of that, they're releasing people from prison. They're putting the prisoners out there. They're letting the crackheads go out there, which I don't think they should be confined to a certain place or anything. But I mean, it seems that things are being engineered for civil unrest, for crime and chaos. And again, it comes back to this order out of chaos. Their modus operandi of order out of chaos. That's how you gain more control over a population. When I used to talk about these things 10 years ago, people would really scratch their heads. Why would a government attack itself? But I am happy to say in the post 9/11 false flag world that people are starting to understand these concepts now, and they can start to see it for what it is. And I'm really thankful for that and glad for that, really, that moving forward as they continue to try to carry out these false flags, a lot of people are going to now be questioning it, saying, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't move so quickly to enact new emergency legislation or what have you to deal with this, because do we really know who did it? Noble Savage, do not vaccinate. Very good advice. I would absolutely not take the COVID-19 vaccine. They'd have to strap me down and, physically strap me down and do it. And I hope to God we're not getting to that point, but it's very, very, very near around the corner to where we're going to be seeing that, guys. Bill Gates just did an interview the other day where he said everyone's going to need a digital certificate to prove whether or not they have a virus or have gotten a vaccine or not. I mean, this is getting so real to the point where, they literally may be having nanobot technology in people so that they can read, get a quick scan. Hey, do you have the okay? Are you the green light? Are you allowed to go into this grocery store? Let me scan you. Beep. Oh, no, you don't have the chip. You don't have the thing inside you, so you're not allowed to buy food today. At first it'll just be, not mandatory. You just won't be able to have access to certain things, and you'll still be able to say, okay, well, I'm just not going to get it. I guess I don't get to go to your grocery store anymore or use your facilities or your hospitals or anything, but I'm fine with that. But the next phase after that is forced vaccinations, which is chartering into very scary territory. Let's see. Vaccines with the chip equals mark of the beast. Yeah, if you had said to people 100 years ago, Bible believers, that, what they thought about that passage, that no man will be able to buy or sell unless he has the mark, 100 years ago, it'd be really hard to fathom a concept like that. Like, how could there be a system where no man in the world can buy or sell unless he has this particular mark? Well, today we can clearly see how something like that is very possible. It can be enacted overnight now with the right crisis. And that's very possible right now that we are to that point where they can institute the one world digital cash system, and you all have to have it, just like Bill Gates said with the microchip, in the vaccine to make sure you don't have a virus, but it's also going to be to make sure you can buy and sell things. You know, I do believe in what the Bible tells us in regards to end time prophecy in that regard, guys. Belinda B asked, "Am I a Christian?" Yes, I am. We can maybe that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother video, but yeah, we can talk about that as well if you want. This is why I often talk about how things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. It's all being prophesized. I'm very well adversed in the book of Daniel and book of Revelation. Daniel's my favorite book in the Bible. Just happens to be my name as well. It's fascinating to me. In fact, I don't know why more people don't look into it. Even just for research purposes. It's the most fascinating book in the world. It's been around debated for thousands of years. Philosophers and scholars and all the greatest thinkers have all had something to say about it. Wars are fought over it. It's fascinating to me. I'm so interested in the Bible, but people have this kind of negative reaction to it without even wanting to look at it because they think it's brainwashing them or something. But I'm sitting here saying, like, look, even just for research purposes, don't you want to know what it says? I mean, and then when you do start to look into it, you start to see how all these things connect and how different books connect with other ones. If you guys do want to look into that, I would suggest you start with the Gospels. Read the first 4 books of the New Testament: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Learn about how Jesus lived his life, how he dealt with certain situations. These are eyewitness accounts at the time that he lived. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Dive into that and then go from there. But I think it's important to do, especially in this crazy, crazy time we're currently living in. All right. Mama48 says, "Do we have to bring religion into this?" You know what? Yeah, we do. We're getting to that point. This is spiritual warfare that we're dealing with here. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear it, and they get their backs all up, and they're like, the Bible, I don't want to hear about that. But look, the reality is they have all the power. They don't. It's not about money anymore. They print the money. It's all about control to the extent of it literally comes down to people's souls. I mean, that's the bigger picture here. We are engaged in spiritual warfare, and as Belinda B says, Jesus is the way. I agree. All right, so let me see what else we got here. Soylent Green is made of people. Interesting. Haven't heard that one. Let's see if we got any more questions. King James version? Yes. I do like the King James version. New King James, but I have a lot of different Bibles that I often check out. Sometimes New King James, sometimes New Living, sometimes NIV, sometimes different one, but King James is where it's at. Okay. A lot of people in the comment section kind of arguing about the religious stuff now. Somebody says he interviewed Ike before. That's where I found him. Did somebody ask if I ever interviewed David Icke? Maybe they did. I don't know. I can't see that. But yes, I have. A number of times. Probably 4 or 5 times or something. In fact, in July, I'm supposed to go to see David Icke in England to do a special show that they were going to produce on me called One Man's Press for Truth with Dan Dix. And they were going to bring me out there, and I don't think that's going to happen anymore. It really, really sucks. I was going to be, it was going to be kind of neat to go out with them. They were going to take care of it all, and And I don't know if that's going to be happening anymore because of this COVID stuff. Looks like I might not be traveling in July to the UK after all, but maybe I will. Who knows? Hopefully, but we'll see. Very glad to see you announce your Christianity, Dan. Well, if I didn't, what would I be doing this for, right? What is this all for, really, if I didn't start to talk about what I see as the big picture, which is really the important thing here, which it is, spiritual warfare that we're all engaged in, whether you understand that or not. I see that as the truth, and I need to start talking about that more because it is the big picture. Let's see. Somebody says, you're not shadow banned. Yeah, that's pretty funny. It's extremely provable how I am, in fact, being heavily shadow banned. It's interesting that YouTube has since removed the restrictions. I was locked in at a certain number of subs for about 8 months there following the recent purge. Well, they've, for whatever reason, released, the clutches, and I'm starting to get more subscribers now. But I think that's going to be turned off again very soon. They cut my Facebook page. I had 390,000 followers on my Press for Truth page, and they just deleted it like that. But before they took it away, it was heavily shadow banned for about a year and a half, where I didn't get a single new like or not more or less. I was locked in at a certain number, and then they just deleted it altogether. Let's see. Okay, it's a lot of questions floating by. I mean, people commenting, questioning with each other. So I'm going to try to just look out for questions for me. I never see Dan's videos and suggested videos. I have to search his channel. He is shadow banned. Yeah, so many people tell me that. They're subscribed. They click the notification bell to get all notifications, and they still don't get my stuff. A lot of people say, "Oh, I went to your channel the other day and thought to myself, I haven't heard from him in a few weeks or a month." And they're like, "Oh my God, you've been posting every day. I subscribe to you. I got the bell." And a lot of people show me that they have to resubscribe. They're like, "Oh yeah, I haven't heard from that guy in a while. What's going on with him?" They go and they realize they've been unsubscribed and they have to resubscribe. So yeah, all kinds of dirty tricks they're playing on me in order to try to stop this info from being seen. Deborah Gore, so glad you are a Christian because now we know God guides your Press for Truth videos, praying for you. Here's a little bit of information about Press for Truth. Some people don't know, but that's why I called it Press for Truth. Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." And when I heard that, I thought it was such a bold statement and such an awesome statement, really. And so Press for Truth really has a triple meaning. Press like press on, but also press like the media, right? People get that obvious double meaning in the Press for Truth name. But there's a third meaning to the Press for Truth name, and it's truth with a capital T. Jesus said, "I am the truth." So essentially what I'm saying is press on to Jesus. Press for truth means move towards Christ. That's essentially my ultimate end game agenda here, is to bring more people to Christ, make Jesus known. And yeah, it feels good to say so, because for years I kind of stuck with just the facts, the news, the information, the things I can emphatically prove, and didn't really want to bring up religion and my own spirituality. But then eventually I got to the point where I'm denying myself and not really contributing to making the world a better place if I'm not speaking my heart and what I truly believe. So no holds barred anymore. I'm going to tell people exactly how I see things moving forward. All right, let's see. Not really seeing any more questions, but I'm glad to see that a lot of people are happy to hear about my spirituality and my faith and my walk with Christ. And I'm glad that if that encourages others out there to do the same, good. Good. That makes me quite happy. Dan, what do you think the best way to wake someone up? Years of telling the truth hasn't worked for me. Oops, let me go back. I've learned that it's almost impossible, in fact. Well, Truth Unleashed, I would suggest that, first of all, you lead by example, but if you specifically want to educate certain members of your family or certain pockets of your friends, in my own experience, I noticed I had to hone in on certain things that they're into and let them feel like they've come to it on their own. Nobody wants to be told that, what they've thought all these years is wrong and that they are ignorant and incorrect. They want to discover that for themselves. So in the particular case of my family, my dad was always interested in finance and the economy and how money works and stuff. So, I gave him the Money Masters on VHS. Actually, it was a long time ago. Gave him the Money Masters to watch. And went that route with him. My sister was always into health-related issues and natural health alternatives, and so I gave her information about vaccines and fluoride in the water and all that sort of stuff. My mom was always a more kind of spiritual person, so with her I would go the route of look at these occultists and the secret societies that engage in all this, occult activity like Skull and Bones and Bohemian Grove and all these things. So in that way, they were able to kind of go down their own rabbit hole, so to speak. And then once they did, they became open to the bigger picture of things and started asking me questions about other areas and things of that nature. So that's a good way to go. Guys, I just noticed my battery is almost gone, so I don't want to lose you. That would suck. Let me run and grab it. I'll be right back. Give me 2 seconds, and I will be back. All right. Bear with me. I hope it will reach from here. I might need to get an extension or something. Okay, we're good. All right. Okay, sorry about that, guys. But I didn't want to just lose you. All right, let's get back to the chat here. This is fun. Dan, are you getting a PO box address? I should. I definitely should get a PO box address. Right now, I currently do have an address that you can send stuff to. Let me, if you go to my website, let me just check this for you to make sure I know exactly where you can get that. But I believe it's at, if you go to pressfortruth.ca/donate, I believe you will find the address at the bottom of the page there. Yeah, so here, checks, money orders, cash, equipment, anything anybody wants to send can be sent here. Suite 700, 595 Hornby Street. For now, anyways. That's a temporary address that I'm using, and we'll be setting up a PO box. But certainly, if you feel you want to contribute to my efforts in that way, it's very, very greatly appreciated. Other people have done that, sent me money orders or things like that. So definitely greatly appreciated for anybody who does that. Okay, let me get back to these comments and questions. Got 474 people watching. I hope we have more thumbs up than that because we had about 500 earlier. So click that thumbs up button, guys, if you haven't yet, and share the video. Prim Proper says, Dan, what does your wife do, and are you going to have kids? Well, my wife has unfortunately been hit by the government and has recently lost 3 jobs because of the government. Quite literally, she was involved in the cannabis space, and they've all clearly wiped out the mom and pops there. And so she was working at a dispensary for a little while, and they've taken that away and only given it to certain licensed people. So the government took that one away from her, and she was doing other like a head housekeeper type stuff, and that's also being kind of stripped of her because of COVID-19. And yes, we are going to be looking to have kids someday, any day now. We'll see. It's all in God's hands. We'll see. Dan, go live to DLive and BitChute instead of YouTube, as Owen Benjamin did. Please, YouTube is deliberately effing with the stream quality a lot. Yes, I tried DLive for the first time just a few days ago. I just did a test, went live on my DLive. Links for that are just located in the description below. I didn't know you can go live on BitChute, but I have been on BitChute for almost 3 years now. Again, guys, if you're not subscribed to me on these other platforms, links are in the description below. Please subscribe to me on these places, guys, because yeah, YouTube is deliberately messing with me here, and I'm gonna flip the switch any day now. So make sure you're subscribed to me on all these other channels. All right. Okay, I'm not seeing too many more questions. We may call it for the day. What's this one? How much retirement funds and medical funds the government will save when we lose a portion of our elderly baby boomers? You know what? I think what's happening right now, I mean, they're going to be wiping out pensions too. And it's interesting that this virus affects old people. Man, the economic ramifications of what we're going to see is going to be absolutely insane. I want to point people to James Corbett's video on that called The Greatest Depression. He put together a really good comprehensive report about all the things we're seeing right now with the economy and where this is going to be leading very soon economically, what all this is going to mean, and how things are going to change, and how it's already changed and there's no way going back. Really important video to see. I strongly recommend it. Be sure you check it out. Let's see. Why don't they catch Ghislaine Maxwell? Well, because she's a part of the cabal. Because they're not looking for her. That's another thing that has kind of gone to the wayside a little bit, eh? Not many people are talking about Jeffrey Epstein and Maxwell anymore. COVID has kind of taken over the discussion on that. Someone says this will last for 2 years. Very, very possible that may be the case. I'm here late, says WPG Enlightened for Truth. I'm here late, but has anyone seen the doctor that has info on the COVID virus is directly connected to 5G? I have seen that very interesting report where he suggests that in areas and in different times, you know, of the implementation of 2G, 3G, 4G, and in different areas, that it seems there were SARS, H1N1 influenza outbreaks in certain areas from that. But whether or not that is true is still to be determined, but it is interesting. I would recommend people watch the video and pay attention to that as well. Uh-oh. Somebody says YouTube just started deleting Dr. Rashad A. Buttar's YouTube videos. Not sure who that is. Exposing Corona hoax. The censorship begins. Yeah, a big part of this agenda as well is not just to clamp down on everybody by making them stay at their homes and destroying their businesses, but it's also a clamp down on the press, on independent media. And yeah, we're going to see that fast track very soon. Dan, do you think the world leaders are some sort of aliens or literal demons? No, I think they are human beings who are being misled by the spirit world. Absolutely. I think some of these people even think they're doing the right thing. I mean, you know, Hitler thought he was making the world a better place by doing the things that he did. I think deep down, psychologically, he thought it was the right thing to do because he ultimately was deceived. He ultimately was manipulated by unseen forces, I believe. So, yeah, no, they're not literal aliens and demons, but they are being used and whether they realize it or not, by the spiritual realm. Where can we find you if you get shut down? So in the description right now, there's a whole bunch of links to other platforms that I'm on and that I upload to every day. BitChute, Float, Minds, Steemit, DTube, PocketNet. I mean, I'm on so many other platforms right now, kind of spreading my eggs in a number of baskets as a hedge against the coming censorship. So I would suggest Float and BitChute, and those ones certainly. Subscribe to me there. Okay. I want to remind you guys that we are not able to accept your super chats, as you may have noticed, because, well, the powers that ought not to be have eliminated my ability to do so. So, putting it out there again, please check the links in the description to find out how you guys can donate if you want to contribute to my efforts. We know they're going to be coming with the chopping, the hammer coming down soon. I am on the chopping block. Hopefully I'll be around longer rather than being off sooner, but judging by the way things are going in 2020, I don't think this channel is going to exist on YouTube in 2021, let's say. But I'm going to be on all these other platforms anyways, so be sure you follow me there. Mr. Boston says Plandemic 201. Yeah, I did a video about Event 201 and also about this pandemic. Be sure you check those out. Danky says, are you aware of Amherst Island Radio? No, I'm not. Let's see. Any more questions? BitChute, question mark? Yes, BitChute. Dan, do you think QAnon is BS? We talked about that earlier in this stream. You can go back to catch that. But yeah, I don't like the Q psyop. I feel it is giving people today a current false sense hope, and that it's not necessarily coming from a good place. And I don't trust faceless movements anyways. So yeah, it's BS. Have you talked about 6 and 7G? Says Griffin Fire Gaming. No, I haven't really talked about 6 and 7G. I've heard of that. I've interviewed somebody about 5G once who explained that 6G is already in the works, which is pretty scary as well. But no, I haven't done a video on that. Who is paying for the COVID-19 relief fund when the masses are at home, Dan? You know what? At this stage in the game, Roddy, they're just printing money out of thin air. They're just creating this. In fact, something a lot of people don't realize is what the Fed did during all of this. I don't know what day it was, March 20th or 21st or something. But the Fed, it used to be that you'd have to have upwards of 10% of reserves in order to lend out. Well, they've lowered that to 0. They no longer have to have any reserves. They can just print money completely out of nothing and loan it out at interest. So to answer your question, the money is coming from thin air right now. They're literally just printing to oblivion, and this is going to cause serious inflation problems. This is just inflating the bubble, and they're giving out these loans and saying, oh, we're going to pay Canadians $2,000 a month so you can survive throughout this. But what people don't realize is there are going to be some serious strings attached, as there always is. And so I just would not, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't trust it. I wouldn't have anything to do with their money. Just disconnect from the government as much as you can altogether and just learn to be completely self-sustainable. That's what we need moving forward. Let's see. All right, a lot of comments, but no real more questions coming in. Unless you do, I might wrap it up. We've been going about an hour and a half now, and I am slated to be going on a bike ride with my wife soon to get some exercise and some fresh air, and I encourage you guys to do the same, and to disobey unlawful orders, as they are undoubtedly going to soon be unleashed, not just on you, not just wherever you are watching today, but I think this is going to be a global thing. So we got to be prepared. Are you self-sustained as far as food? Says Prim Proper. Not exactly as much as I should be, admittedly. I've unfortunately recently had to move, and we had a pretty good setup, but now we're just getting the backyard garden re-going. So yeah, working on getting all that myself currently right now. Had it, lost it, getting it back now. East Anglian says experiencing some lagging issues. Yeah, apologize for that. Internet might be getting a little bit slow here. Do you believe there will be a food shortage? Yeah, I do think that is very, very possible. I would encourage you to watch an interview I just did with Curtis Stone, the urban farmer. Go to my channel, look at my recent videos. I did it about 5 days ago, maybe a week. Interview with Curtis Stone about the importance of real food in the midst of this crisis, and having the ability to be self-sustainable and grow your own food. Really important information that people need to see, that I encourage them to check out. So just a quick recap, folks, of some of the things we were talking about today. The new bylaw was passed in Toronto. Toronto Mayor signs bylaw to enforce physical distancing at city parks and squares. They're now going to charge people upwards of $5,000, I think it said in this other article here. New rule prohibits walking within 2 meters of another person. You can now be fined upwards of $5,000 for violating this rule. Here we have a complaints hotline where people are calling into the police to rat out their neighbors for violating the orders. It's just ridiculous. Here in Quebec, we have police cracking down on violations on public health orders, again starting to use the police to crack down on those who are deciding to disobey the lockdown quarantine orders. Louisville forcing unwilling coronavirus patients to self-isolate right now, and they are actually putting tracking devices on them so that they can keep track of everywhere they're going. And they're already tracking everybody through the cell phones. I don't know if you realized that Google has already admitted that they're doing this. Other places have admitted that they are able to use cell phone data tracking devices information to find out through your device whether you're congregating with 5 or more people, or where crowds are starting to congregate, and then they can send enforcement there to disperse them. This is all happening right now, so we kind of already have the tracking devices around our ankle or whatever, how they have to do it, essentially by having the devices in our pockets. Hong Kong police using coronavirus restrictions to clamp down on protesters. We knew that was a big part of this. Hong Kong regulation banning public gatherings of more than 4 people, enacted last week in an effort to combat the coronavirus pandemic, immediately stoked fears that it might be used to crack down on political dissent. Imagine that. It appears to be happening already. Yesterday, protesters gathered outside the Prince Edward subway station in Hong Kong to mark 7 months since a major event in last year's protest, when riot police officers stormed into the station, beating passengers indiscriminately. But the protesters were quickly dispersed, subdued, and detained, as police warned them to leave to avoid the spread of the disease in society. Public trust in the local police force is all at all-time lows. Unresolved police brutality continues to be an ongoing problem. So yeah, these, of course, this is going to give them the ability to crack down on dissenters, remove anyone who goes against the status quo by just claiming that you have it. You could be one of these asymptomatic carriers who don't even show any kind of signs of symptoms or anything, but if they claim you have it, then they can scoop you up, lock you down, put you in quarantine. And what a perfect excuse for these authoritarian dictatorship governments to be able to clamp down on dissenters and people who are pointing out the major problems here. They can silence these guys now, and they have the legislation to do it. That's what's crazy about it. We had the Bilderberg meeting being postponed. We talked a little bit about that today. They meet every year in June, and it was actually a good chance they were going to be meeting in Canada this year. They haven't met here since 2006. Last year it was in Montreux, Switzerland, so it's likely that it was going to be in North America this year. So pretty telling, pretty interesting. My friend Josh Friedman reached out to their media relations people who they now have, and they did admit that it's postponed, not canceled, but postponed due to the travel restrictions. But we know they can meet online if they want to. And so that's certainly probably going to be the case. Although they have announced that they're not going to be meeting online. They're just going to postpone the meeting. But I'm sure they are well aware, because they're probably the ones pulling the strings here, which, as I said earlier, it's almost, it is impossible that they cannot be involved. I mean, the Bilderberg group is comprised of the media moguls and the military men and the same politicians and finance leaders and business leaders who are today telling you to, quarantine or else. So absolutely, people like the inner core of Bilderberg are the ones pulling the strings here. So yeah, they're very well aware of the fact that this isn't going to just pass away in a couple weeks. This is actually going to go on for months and months, and they're going to try to achieve their dream of a one world government, which they've had ever since they began in 1954. Okay, I'm going to go back to the chats real quick and make sure we don't have any new questions or comments, and then we may call it for today, guys. We're going on about an hour and a half, and we just may call it. Bilderberg billions probably all already have the cure. Just donated via PayPal. That was easy. Thank you so much. Prim Proper? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it is very, very greatly appreciated right now. Any donation is greatly appreciated. Obviously, I'm not getting the super chats anymore. I'm not getting, the ad revenue from YouTube anymore, and that's fine. Google can keep their dirty money. I would much rather be beholden to you, the viewers, directly. I want to work for you guys. That's the relationship here. That was, I suppose, the blessing in disguise of when I got demonetized by YouTube, when they just pulled the plug on my funding. I'm now relying 100% on you, the viewers, which is the way it always should have been anyways, and I'm glad to be in this position now. So yes, thank you so much, Prim Proper. It's people like you who make it possible for people like me to be able to continue. So again, thank you. If anybody else wants to do so, as you said, it's very easy. Links are in the description below. If you don't like PayPal, there's other ways to contribute by joining as a member, or contributing cryptocurrencies if that's your thing. There's lots of ways for people to contribute, but please do. It is necessary at this stage in the game. I mean, they're pumping you full of fear and propaganda, and we need that other side of we need these other voices online that they're trying to shut down, and you can help combat that by contributing financially. It's greatly appreciated. Okay. Sam I Am says, "You've been on the chopping block for years, yet still here. Wonder why, shill." Yeah, that must be it. Because I'm still here, I must be an insider government-controlled opposition shill. But you know what? Even if I got deleted from this platform, that won't satisfy you. you'll still go to my other platforms on BitChute and call me a shill for, some new reason. Ross Tap says, change your channel category. To what? I think I currently have it as news. What should I change it to, and why should I do that? Buy guns and prepare with others, Mike Freeman says. Not bad advice at all. Again, preparing with others specifically, I think, is important. Small communities, we have to support one another here. Really important moving forward. Get out and buy toilet paper, says Alberta Old School. It's bizarre how they're not able to restock the shelves. I think there's something going on there behind the scenes as to create this, the psychological currents that they need in order to bring about civil unrest. It's happening on all sorts of fronts. Sam I Am says, did Dan just say Q is BS? Yeah, I did, Sam I Am. Susan says, what is a shill? A shill is somebody who, I guess you could chalk it up to being a poser, like somebody who works for the other side, the government, who is presenting themselves as a member of the truth community, but they're actually a secret agent, and they're, I don't even know what the purpose of, like, what would I be gathering info on you? I don't know. Anyways, I often just ignore guys like that. I've been getting it for years, but it's fine. Comes with the territory. You're a nice guy, Dan. Don't listen to these shills. Appreciate that. Anthony Lee, are you a square earther? Are there square earthers out there? Wouldn't be surprised. Any thoughts about Trudeau coughing during his speech? I didn't see that, but I mean, look, this is another part of where everybody's kind of, shifty-eyed, looking at everyone, kind of pointing the finger at each other, and it's bizarre. You walk into a store, and if you have like a clear your throat or something, everyone's like, "Oh my God!" And it's getting really ridiculous in my view. It's completely overblown, the reaction that people are having, and yeah, it's ridiculous. Somebody's asked me if I like Alex Jones. Where did that go? Bear with me. The chat is kind of bumping all around. Bob Anderson. Oh, I don't know if you're asking me if I like Alex Jones, or maybe you're responding to somebody else saying, like, Alex Jones? But at any rate, I did make a video once. Somebody asked about the other day about whether or not I think he is controlled opposition, and I made a video once called Alex Jones, Friend or Foe? I made it like 8 years ago, but I would recommend you check that out if you're curious about my views on Alex Jones, because what I said in that video 8 years ago is still what I believe to be the case today. Which, in a nutshell, is no, he's not controlled opposition. Money and fame do weird things to people. I think he's kind of gone down a bad path in certain respects, but I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for him. If he wasn't born, hypothetically, I literally wouldn't be here. He's influenced me that much to do what I'm doing today, and I got to give the guy credit where credit is due. I don't tune in anymore. I haven't watched him in years. As I said, fame and money do weird things to people, and I think he's changed over the years, but that's his own ego issues. I don't think he's controlled opposition. Okay. Let's see if I got any more questions. Raul says, wow, really, dude? Yep. Dan, have you heard of enormous drop in cell phone usage in China recently? What do you think that means? That's interesting. It could certainly mean that there's a backdoor clampdown happening. We know that in China, everyone uses this WeChat app, and it's completely controlled by the government. We know they have the Sesame credit system over there. And the Big Brother phone tracking, you think it's bad here. Everything in terms of surveillance is worse over there. But as we talked about earlier in the stream, they are a blueprint for what's soon to be coming down the road here. So it's important to pay attention to it. All right, guys. I think we might call it for today. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in, for being loyal subscribers, even the haters. You know, I love you guys too. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Again, don't forget to click the thumbs up button. Don't forget to share this video. Don't forget to not succumb to the fear state and to begin to police one another and point the fingers at each other. Let's point the finger at the real culprit here, guys. The government should always be suspect number one. You ask yourself, key bono, who benefits in all this stuff right now? Certainly is not us who are sitting here at home. It's the powers that ought not to be. The authoritarian puppet string pullers are the ones who are benefiting from this, hence the ones who are pulling the strings and causing the current collapse that we're witnessing. So stop policing one another, stop pointing the finger at one another, mind your own business and worry about yourself in that regard. And we'll hopefully come out of this okay. So, again, thank you so much, everybody. Don't forget to check the links in the description. Find out how you can contribute financially to my efforts here. If that's something that that you are able to do, it's greatly appreciated. It goes a long way. Have a good weekend, says Daniel. Everyone's saying goodbye. Thank you for the real journalism. Clap, clap, clap. Keep doing what you do. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, we'll call it for the day. So great to be here. So great to be back live streaming. I've lost my ability from YouTube to live stream due to a copyright strike. It was a crazy scenario that I was able to resolve, thankfully. So I'm back. We're back. We're going to be doing more regular live streams. So guys, if you appreciate this, do click that notification bell. It might work, it might not. But click the notification bell to try to get email notifications or notifications directly on your phone every time I start streaming live or release a video. So once again, thank you so much, everybody. It was great hanging out with you here. I'm going to hop out with my wife and dogs. We're going to go for a bike ride now. You guys stay safe. And again, stop policing one another. Point the finger at the government. I love you all. Thanks again for watching. And we'll see you again next time. Take care. Peace.